speaking of also tiresome, we have the company that keeps on chugging along and, you know, shutting things down or butchering other game companies that they decided for whatever reason to purchase and pick up and all that jazz. But here we go. EA Games is shutting down on April 28th. That's a little misleading because it's a specific something that they are shutting down. Old EA. Publisher ElectronicArts will shut down the online services for Dragon Age Inquisition's PlayStation 3 version on April 28th, but anyone who still plays on that console or played shouldn't necessarily worry too much. This is largely going to impact Dragon Age Inquisition's multiplayer component, which I don't know if that falls under, you know, I mean, I don't know, games as a service or just, you know, still shutting down a game. Because, I mean, that is a component, that is a side of the game, and so I'd say it still fits under like a killing game sort of situation. It's just killing a side of the game. You're losing a portion of the game for that playability. But Inquisition's multiplayer component, although there are lingering questions around the Dragon Age Keep, publishers typically pull the plug on online services when the numbers just don't add up anymore, and EA is no stranger to the practice. As player counts dwindle, servers become harder to justify with additional maintenance, security, and staffing costs too. In some scenarios, aging tech like licenses can also be a hurdle. In fact, EA has already shut down 5 games online services this year outright, killing some games like we talked about Anthem before, I believe. But yeah, what's impacted by Dragon Age Inquisition's PS3 shutdown happens April 28th. PS3 only, should is the optimal word there. They should. Yeah, that's kind of the question, Static, but they are keeping the PS4 servers. That's gonna be the question, right? Is it gonna affect other things? It does not seem like it'll be that extreme with Dragon Age Inquisition. However, on April 28th rolls around. First off, it's only the multiplayer for Dragon Age Inquisition, which isn't bad by any means, but it's not the main reason anyone plays these beloved single player titles. Yeah, but you're still losing a portion of your game to play that you paid for, that you bought, that you used your hard-earned money to get the game. I'd say is a problem. Secondly, it may not be the main reason you bought the game, but I mean, it's still a functionality of the game that was included upon release. And yet this is that problem with the whole online connectivity and stuff like that, where they can shut the sort of stuff down. You have no even ability, like say through a LAN connection or anything like that. It sounds like they're gonna axe that entirely. So, and that's where it's like, that is the sucky thing when it comes to this, because you can't even then like emulate yourself of doing like a direct connection and stuff like that. Like I remember friends and I we would play some old, so even then older quote unquote like RTS games and stuff like that. We would just use certain programs to still be able to kind of manipulate and create an online connection. I forget the program that we used, but we used something that would allow us to then do the whole kind of online connection and still play some of the games. Secondly, it's only for the PS3 version and will not have any impact on PC, PlayStation 4, or Xbox versions. The only thing that should be impacted is the multiplayer servers. So they're shutting down they're shutting down the servers for PS3, which have been active for the past 12 years. In theory, such closures could impact Dragon Age Keep and the ability to import custom world states, but there's been no official statement given by developer BioWare or EA. Fans may want to have some kind of backup or notation in case, but the game will remain playable for pretty much all intents and purposes. There are not even any multiplayer exclusive PS3 trophies that any Dragon Age Inquisition player on the platform should worry about. That I could say is at least one saving grace, is not having multiplayer exclusive trophies. I always find those obnoxious, because there are some games where it's just like this, I just want to play the single player side and I'd rather just earn the trophies or achievements or whatever on that side of things. I don't want to have to play multiplayer just to kind of 100% anything. So that's at least good on that. For those unfamiliar or simply do not remember, Dragon Age Inquisition's multiplayer saw players take on the role of an Inquisition irregular agent like Isabella or Katari in 4-player co-op. Players would then fight through various enemies like Venatori, Red Templars, Darkspawn, and so forth across 5 zones, with final zone having an enemy commander like Calpurnia or Samson. It was a fun time in all honesty, but it was never a main draw for the game. Well, regardless of that, it still shouldn't be shut down. So every Dragon Age shutdown by EA, pre-2013, Dragon Age Legends for Facebook and Google+, May 15th, 2018, Dragon Age Heroes for Facebook, September 1st, 2020, Dragon Age Inquisition HQ, November 17th, 2020, Dragon Age The Last Court, October 20th, 2022, multiplayer screenshot servers for Dragon Age Origins. Go away. Dragon Age Inquisition's PS3 multiplayer services may be ending on April 28th, but the game will continue to live on. Solus's full story, as it was introduced in the Inquisition, has been largely resolved in its sequel, Veilguard. You actually wanted to suffer that shit show. I didn't care for it. Didn't want to care for it. I just completely ignored it. And just basically, I mean, in my opinion, this is basically come down to it's just like the first 2 games, or at least the first 3, Origins, 2, and Inquisition. I won't go near Veilguard. Unfortunately, it's currently uncertain that the future of the franchise is, given the long development cycle of the latter, the mass layoffs at BioWare, and a variety of other reasons. Well, I mean, that's mismanagement from BioWare side and from EA's side. I mean, yeah, it's a twofold system. But yep, as it just is like it is. They kind of, I don't know if they said it here, but it's just a ticking clock for shutting down of basically anything. And it'll be curious to see if more is kind of included with some of the shutdown. I mean, because they say should being the optimal word there, should only impact the multiplayer portion of the PS3 version of the game. Knowing BioWare's current state, especially from at least the Old Republic side of things, their ability to only do certain shutdowns or whatever has always been a mismanagement, misfire. They always bungle something up. And then you add on top of it, EA being anywhere near this stuff too is just asking for trouble. So I would not be surprised if suddenly people are testing it and they find not just the PS3 version to the PS4 and probably even all the other versions are going to be, the multiplayer will be shut down either by accident or that is their intention. And even some of this is like not misreporting, but it's like they're not getting all the information. But I mean, this was published yesterday, so but yeah, it's just Jesus Christ. It's again that sad thing of, like I said earlier, with always online connectivity. It's a double-edged sword. Like, it has its benefits, but it also has such a downside when they can do constant updates and then removal of portions of the game that you paid for. So let's see. Static said, oh, there's my answer. Dan Blackbird said Cavill was rumored both of them would be better choices than a young Colin Farrell type. Dan Blackbird also said he's already working for Amazon, but John Krasinski could be an okay Shepherd. Hassan says, yeah, man, I remember when Diablo 2 had like direct peer connection for play. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. And you can still, my brother and I we're still doing direct peer connections with the version of Diablo 2 that we used, and we're doing the multiplayer stuff. Static says Inquisition is the only one I have played in full. Blasphemy, sir. Play Dragon Age Origins. Origins is the top tier one. Seemed kind of gay, literally. Yes, it was. Hassan says I gave up after playing DA2. It was disappointing and the day was ruined. I get that reference. But Dragon Age 2 is a weird one, which sucks. I understood what they were doing, but they really just they shot themselves in the foot by the limitation of it just being in that whole zone. So it felt more like another expansion than a full game. The thing that I liked the idea of was the dialogue system, that, you know, if you chose certain things often enough, it would then be reflected in the character and the way he spoke, with the way Hawk spoke. So he could be a little more, he could either be a little more dry and serious, or a little more jokey and sarcastic and stuff like that. I like those. I like that idea of the dialogue system. It added something a little more fresh to it that could have been, if they improved upon, could have been really interesting in other games and stuff. But sadly, that's just kind of where that stayed and died. Static says, and this was before Veilguard, which I did play. Ugh. Inquisition was definitely like peak signs of where BioWare was definitely, you know, just shitting the bed more and more. I can't remember. Let's see. Was Inquisition before or after Andromeda? Let's see here. Let's see, which one was it? So, okay, Dragon Age Inquisition came out before Mass Effect Andromeda. So yeah, that was definitely like the beginning signs of just, I mean, I'd say maybe even Dragon Age 2 was like, okay, things are taking a tits up turn, and not in a good way. I guess Static, you could say Inquisition was kind of a canary. I'd say maybe more Dragon Age 2 was a canary in a coal mine, and then it was just like, all right, it's the full the downfall with Inquisition, which was unfortunate. It had some okay aspects to it, but yeah, it just, like, the problem was too, is that was a game that I followed because I loved the Dragon Age series for the most part. I enjoyed 2 for what I could get out of it, even though 2 did do some severe retcons of the was it the Kunari? But I tried to get into it, and I did, for a part of it I did, but again, there are just a lot of problems laden with that game. But I was hoping for Dragon Age Inquisition to really kind of turn things around, and the way they were originally talking about the game was also quite different than what also came about. It was sounding more open world than large zones that you go into, and it was going to sound also a little more like there was going to be more of the environment that you kind of had to actually interact with in a way. When it came to like trudging through swamps and stuff like that, like it'd actually slow down your character and maybe put you in some danger. Then of course they were trying to say, oh yeah, we're gonna make things a little more dangerous with certain limited items and stuff like that, which I think did still kind of get implemented. But then they also messed with character looks and stuff like that. I believe it was Cassandra, that she went from looking reasonably attractive in 2 to having, I believe, the full man-jaw syndrome. So yeah, it was a lot of stuff. And which one introduced Morgan? She was introduced in Dragon Age Origins. No, yeah, wait, yeah, Morgan was introduced in Dragon Age, in the first Dragon Age, and she also had a very different look originally. And that's the great thing with PC mods, is that you can then you can get those old looks back that they removed. Dan Blackbear says it might have been DLC, but the Stone Golem thing was great as a party member. Yeah, that was Dragon Age Origins. That was DLC. I'm trying to remember now. That the Golem Shale, I believe, was Shale was the Golem creature that you got in Origins, and it was a DLC for the game, I believe, and it would randomly squish chickens, if I remember correctly too. Yeah, it was the Stone Prisoner DLC. The Dragon Age Origins had a lot of DLC too, as I remember. Like, there's a laundry list that you'd get. Static says, from what I understand, is 2 really put some need polish on the game mechanics of the first. I've played the first one, but only like 10 hours. Some would say that that's where Dragon Age Origins 2 is they toned down the gameplay, because that's where they also took away the kind of tactical top-down view, and they made it a lot more actiony, a little more action-packed and stuff like that. So it's all from certain perspectives. Like, I thought it did kind of polish up some of the gameplay, made it a little more fast and fluid and everything, especially for like using the magical powers. But everybody was really set on Origins. Or there were a lot of people set on Origins. I understand why. The Warhounds were good too. Yeah, I forgot you could name the Warhound that you got in the first game, and then they had an expansion for Dragon Age Origins Awakening. So I mean, they really built on the original game, but like it was after that, it just everything was just kind of shown that decline. Your Warhound dog, a Mabari Warhound, those things were awesome. I remember, I think Ogren would talk about wanting to ride your hound into battle. Morgan, voiced by Claudia Black. God damn. Yep. And even she was she was so tsundere, but god dang, you had to go for it. Dan Blacker says, I only played it because you got some special armor that could, yeah, you using Mass Effect. Yeah, was it the dragon armor? Hang on. Thank you. Chiefser called it out. The Blood Dragon armor, which did look really cool in Mass Effect. Although because I'm I'm so vain and narcissistic, I like seeing my created character's face, so I didn't always use the armor. But here, I got a picture of it. Oh god dang it. Get back. Yeah, that thing was pretty sweet. Like I said, I didn't always use it myself personally, but it was pretty sweet to have it. That was at least kind of cool. Was that they kind of did that sort of thing. Is that weird that I think Mass Effect 2's version looks better? Might be just the lighting and stuff though versus 3's. Hassan says, oh, so you're that guy that keeps running around naked in my game screaming, look at me! No, I usually like to be dressed, but you know, there are moments where you just have to, you know, free the beast. Dan Blacker says her Origins was massive with all the added stuff and then Awakening. Yeah, it was crazy. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, so that's that. We'll see what happens down the line on April 28th. If this shutdown goes smoothly or not, it'll be entertaining as hell to see. So we'll see. We'll see how EA pulls this off or not, or BioWare, whatever. Too funny.
Thank you for watching this clip from Respawn Roast Cantina. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see and check out the full episode.